Have you ever checked your bank account at the end of the month and felt a cold, quiet shame settle into your chest? Not because you didn't work. Not because you were lazy, but because you worked hard, you earned real money, and somehow, again, there is almost nothing left. Maybe you told yourself it was the rent. Maybe you said it was that one emergency. Maybe you have said, month after month, next month will be different. Maybe you even got a raise this year, and somehow you are more broke than before. Maybe you've watched others who earn less manage to save, while you sit empty. This is not a story about being poor. This is a story about something far more dangerous than poverty. This is the story of Nadia. Stay with me until the end. Nadia Reyes was 34 years old, and by almost every visible measure, she was doing fine. She had a real job, a real title, a real paycheck. Her salary was $4,200 a month, more than her parents had ever earned combined, more than most of her cousins, more than the girl she used to be at 22. She had a queen-sized bed with a decent mattress, a coffee maker she had splurged on 3 Christmases ago, and a closet full of clothes, some with the tags still attached. On her kitchen counter sat a fruit bowl that was almost always empty, because fruit felt like something you bought when you had your life together. She ate lunch at the desk most days, a $7 sandwich from the deli across the street. Dinner was usually something delivered to her door. She told herself she was too tired to cook. 2 lattes every morning, 4 delivery dinners a week, a gym membership visited 4 times since January. It all disappeared. Every month, it all disappeared. She would look at the number on her screen and feel a specific kind of dread, not panic, something quieter and more corrosive than panic, numbness. Her younger sister Elena worked part-time at a flower shop and tutored children on the side, earning maybe half of what Nadia made. But Elena had savings. Elena had a small emergency fund in a separate account she called her breathing money. She packed her lunch every day in a blue container with her name on the lid. Nadia found this slightly embarrassing somehow. Like it was small. Like it was beneath a woman with a real salary and a real title. You should really put something away this month, Nadia, Elena would say. I know, Nadia would say. I'm going to. Things have just been busy. The call would end. The Sunday night would fold into Monday. And the cycle would begin again. It had been this way for 3 years. The one thought that returned most often, in the elevator, in the shower, before she fell asleep, was this: I earn enough. I should be fine. Why am I not fine? She had no answer. So, she stopped asking. That is the most dangerous thing a person can do with a question that matters. She was 34 years old, earning real money, living in a real apartment, wearing a real title, and quietly, invisibly, going nowhere at all. It happened on a Thursday in March that looked like every other Thursday. Nadia was at her desk, half focused on a procurement report, half scrolling through a sale on her phone. Her salary was being adjusted, not upward. The company was restructuring. Her new monthly net would be $800 less. She read it twice. Her hands went cold. Not trembling, just cold. The way blood leaves the surface of your skin when your body registers something your mind hasn't processed yet. She set her phone face down on the desk. The sale was still open behind the screen, 40% off. She hadn't bought anything yet. She did the arithmetic in her head, and what came back was not a number. What came back was the question she had been avoiding for 3 years. Impossible to dodge. If I can barely survive on 4,000, what do I do with 3? She looked at her own face in the mirror for a long time. There was no easy answer. She had walked past the community center 100 times and entered exactly once before. That Thursday evening, something in her just turned left instead of right. The woman leading the workshop was named Gloria Osei. She was 58 years old, compact and unhurried, in the way of someone who had long since stopped performing urgency for other people. After the group session, Nadia stayed. She sat in one of the folding chairs while the others filed out, and Gloria sat across from her and said simply, You look like you need to talk numbers. Nadia told her everything. The salary, high, the cut, I, the empty account, the subscriptions, the deliveries, the tags still on the clothes in the closet. Gloria listened without interrupting. What do you think the problem is? Gloria asked. I spend too much, Nadia said. That's a symptom, Gloria said. Tell me why you spend. I work hard. I deserve things. You do deserve things, Gloria said. But do you feel wealthy when you buy them? Or calm for 20 minutes? And then, the same as before. Your money has no architecture, Gloria said. It's just weather. It happens to you. She took out a plain notepad and drew 3 rectangles side by side. Every dollar must be assigned before you spend it, not after. Before. This is called a zero-based intention system. Every dollar has a name before the month begins. The growth container is filled first. The moment your salary arrives, 20% moves automatically, before you see it. Before you can spend it, you save first and live on the rest. Can you do 30 days? Nadia looked at the 3 rectangles. 800 less arriving in 2 weeks. No room left to look away. Yes, she said. I can do 30 days. The first day was humiliating. Not because anything dramatic happened, but because of the numbers. She wrote down every purchase she made. Coffee, $4.80. Lunch, $9. An energy drink at 3 in the afternoon, $3.50. Dinner delivery with tip, $29. Total for one ordinary Thursday, $52.30. $52 on a day when nothing happened. Multiplied by 30 days, $1,560 gone to ordinary Thursdays before rent, before anything that mattered. On the 7th day, she almost stopped. She had come home late. The apartment was dark and cold, and her phone showed a notification from her favorite clothing app, 70% off. She put the phone face down on the counter. She made tea. She stood in the quiet and counted her breath until the urgency passed. It took 11 minutes. She timed it. She wrote in her notes, Day 7, almost. Didn't. 3 words. But they were the most honest 3 words she had written about herself in years. By the end of week 2, the act of writing every number down before she spent it introduced a half-second of friction into every purchase. And in that half-second, a question appeared. She started asking a question she had never asked before. Do I want this, or do I want to feel something? The answers were not always comfortable, but they were clarifying. On day 21st, she sat at her kitchen table on a Sunday morning. Not scrolling, not ordering, just sitting with coffee she had made herself. She opened her notepad. She added the numbers for the first time in her adult life. She could see exactly where every dollar had gone. Not approximately, exactly. And something settled in her chest. Not pride exactly, something older and quieter than pride. Clarity. Clarity. She picked up her phone and sent her sister a message. I've been tracking every dollar for 3 weeks. I finally understand. Elena replied immediately. I've been waiting for you to say that. Nadia set the phone down and looked out the window. The city looked the same. She felt entirely different. She went back to Gloria on day 31st, notepad in hand, her own plain notepad bought at the dollar store, with 30 days of numbers written in her own handwriting. Gloria helped Nadia set up a separate savings account at a different bank, not visible in her main app, not connected to her debit card, and arranged for 20% to transfer automatically on payday. Within 60 days, Nadia had saved her first $800. The first time in 3 years she had held that much money without it belonging to something or someone else. She canceled 4 subscriptions she had forgotten she were paying for, totaling $91 a month. She stopped feeling embarrassed about the blue lunch container. She bought one. She started cooking 3 dinners a week. She stopped feeling embarrassed about the simple choices her sister had always made. They weren't small. They were how the money survived. 6 months after the salary cut, Nadia had more in savings than she had accumulated in the previous 4 years of higher income combined. Her sister called on Sunday. The call was different now. At her desk, one afternoon, she opened her bank app. She looked at the number. She closed it again. For the first time, the number did not make her feel shame. It made her feel like herself, not the version of herself that had been waiting for next month, the version that showed up for this one. The woman who used to avoid the question now opened her notebook every Sunday morning, wrote her numbers, and felt not dread, not shame, only the quiet power of someone who knows. I am not the woman who earns and disappears it anymore. I know what my money is for. I save first. I decide first. I don't spend to feel calm. I build to stay calm. This is not a plan. This is who I am now. Nadia had nothing but a salary that disappeared, until the day she decided that every dollar would have a name. That decision was the architecture. That decision was everything. Here's your challenge. Not someday. This week. Tonight. Open your phone and track every single dollar you spend for the next 30 days. Not an app. A plain notes list. Every dollar. Write it down before you spend it. That pause is the system, not the app. Not the spreadsheet. The pause. The half second where you decide instead of react. Open a separate savings account at a different bank. On the day your next paycheck arrives, move 15 to 20% out before you open anything else. Before the sale. Move it first. If you're ready to stop letting money happen to you, drop I decide first in the comments right now. Like this video if Nadia's story hit somewhere real. Share it with the one who earns and still feels stuck. Subscribe, because every week we bring you a story and a system that actually changes how you live. Your next paycheck is an opportunity. Don't let it disappear again.